Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Stumpf, for being here. Let me try to clarify a bit more your position going forward with respect to the issues of compensation, not just Ms. Tolstead, but even your own compensation. Will you formally recuse yourself from board deliberations?
Well, I'm not even involved in board discussions around what the HRC does with anything in respect to me and or as they recommend to the board. So there's no recusal required, but I'm happy to do that, but I'm not even involved in that.
It will ultimately come up, though, to the board for a vote of affirmation of the Compensation Committee, correct?
It would, and I'm not part of that. That's done in an executive session without me. It's always been done that way.
Fine. In 2013, when you learned of this, what did you do? This has been asked several different ways. Did you inform the regulators or instruct someone to inform the regulators of a growing problem?
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Yes, and I should have mentioned that earlier, but yes, our primary and a prudential regulator was informed at that time.
Did you inform the board at that time?
Yes, I can't recall the exact meeting, but but it was sometime in 13, and I know in 2014, various committees of the board were made aware of this: the Risk Committee, the Audit and Examination, the Corporate Responsibility.
Did you take any steps to internally notify your employees of this type of behavior, which, going back, was, 11, 1,000 people are gone, 12, 13, including an area manager? Did you communicate that, or did you simply keep these discussions internal to the board?
I do a team member town hall every quarter where I go to one of our various cities, and there will be a couple thousand people in the audience, and then we webcast that broadly across our company. And I, typically talk about ethics and doing what's right for customers. And in the case, the vast majority do it, but I was trying to really bring home this fact.
There was given specific evidence of techniques used to essentially, in the words of my colleagues, and to defraud customers. Those specific practices were not focused upon and made very clear that they were not tolerated, or was it? It would seem to be a generic discussion of follow the rules.
Again, Senator Reed, at the time that the escalation happened in 2013, there were many different meetings and things happening, as I mentioned in my written or my oral testimony, about reducing goals, talking about sales efficacy, having manager meetings, talking with leaders, putting more controls in place. And again, not fast enough, not far enough, and I apologize for that.
Well, it seems that, and I would suspect, looking back, that the emphasis on meeting sales objectives, cross-selling, was unremitting. And yet you had examples here, specific examples of things that you knew were happening and should not be happening. And yet what I'm hearing is more or less a generic, make those sales, oh, and by the way, we have this ethical rules in place too. Again, I think you've said it, and it's obvious that the tone, emphasis, what the leader does, what the leader says, is sometimes more important than anything else.
Yeah.
And for a period there, this was recognized, but there was no specific stop this stuff.
Well, I can tell you, we said, stop this stuff. And the thing about cross-sell is I'd rather have a customer with 2 products that they use and they need and they want and they value than 4 products that are not used and valued. In the first case, customer wins, we win, we all do well. In the second case, everybody loses. We lose money. It does not help us. So we tried very hard, and again, we were not as effective as we could have been in talking about, the goal here is not, products. The goal here is deep relationships. We had the wrong tool for too long to make that happen.
I simply, in conclusion, it just seems that it took too many months, years, literally, for some simple steps which should have been taken to be taken. And it was only, I think, as a result of what ultimately Los Angeles County and the regulators and others did that forced the issue. Thank you, Ms. Stumpf.